Hey y'all, Caleb here. In today's video, we're going to use JavaScript inside of Blazor. Um, so uh, with Blazor, right, one of the benefits that you get out of it is you can do a lot of stuff with C# and .NET with Blazor and not have to do the JavaScript equivalent. You're not required to use JavaScript within Blazor unless you have a specific need. Um, and in some cases, you're going to have that need, right? There may be a JavaScript library that you're using that doesn't have a C# equivalent, or you have a specific use case. And so in this video, we're just going to go through adding in some JavaScript and then actually referencing that JavaScript inside of a Razor file. So I'm going to be doing some copying and pasting because that's the easiest way to do this. But I'm going to walk you through it. So we're just adding in a very simple script, right? We're not using jQuery, not using anything special. We're just creating a function that's called counterclicker. And when this function is called, it is going to go find the button with the ID of counterclick. And if that exists, then it's going to add an event listener to listen to the clicks on it. And when a click happens, it's actually going to update the inner HTML, the text inside the button, to I changed. Now, in the default Blazor template, which is what I've done, all I've done is spun up a brand new one. We have the counter page, right, where as you click on the button, the count's going to increment. So we're just going to update this Razor page to work with our new JavaScript. So the first thing we want to do is give this an ID of counter click, right? Let's make sure. Yep, counter click. Okay. And then in order to use JavaScript inside of Blazor properly, you actually have to inject a JavaScript runtime interface so that it can properly manage the Blazor loading versus the JavaScript loading and making sure everything plays nicely. So we're going to inject, and it's IJS runtime, and we're just going to name it JS runtime. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is we need to implement one of Blazor's built-in methods that you can override. Right, one that's used a lot is the onInitialized and or onParameter set. In this case, we're going to use the after render override. And what this allows us to do is once the page is rendered, we can then call into the JavaScript and load it separately. And on after render, it has a parameter called first render that it will actually use or listen to based on the building of the page, right? Or once the page is loaded. So we're just gonna copy and paste an example of it in here. And like I said, right, it's on after render async and Boolean of first render. And if it is the first render, then we're actually going to await our injected JavaScript runtime, and we're going to invoke the counter clicker, which, if you'll remember, is the name of the function. So let's save everything and build it and test it out. Okay, so we have click me, right? And when we click this, it updates to I changed. And right, this is obviously a contrived example. It's very simple, but you can see how you can use this to actually call into functions within a JavaScript library, or to actually implement your own functions that say, maybe you're using something like D3 or a charting library and you want to set up some charts. You can do that inside of Blazor, and you can do it through JavaScript. There's just a process you have to go through. So hopefully this was helpful. And I hope y'all are having a great week. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye, y'all.